Send in Geraldo.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's already uncovered that and found nothing, like a dummy, like that dummy that he
I
is.
remember that shit, man.
Remember? He's like, we
Hell
did
yeah.
it. What's in here? It's absolutely nothing.
Nothing. Big pile of shit.
It was great.
All right, I need this up. I need to just move this over. I think we're live. Why don't I just check my YouTube?
Why don't you just tell me the name of the movie?
Why don't you just tell me the YouTube
Sketching
channel you
Comedy
want to watch?
Live today. Why don't I just check my YouTube? Apparently it's working. All right. Let's see. Let's make sure that's coming out nice and clear.
We want it coming out clear. That's when you know it's not infected.
Ew, really?
What? Who said
Really? I don't know.
Means you're good and hydrated and infection free.
All right, I have to move something over.
Don't want it coming out yellow.
Why our pictures are? I don't know why that's happening like that. Am I in the screen?
You are, I see you.
Am I centered? Do I need to move?
No, you're good.
All right. Good. This will be fun. All right. Now I just need the doc. We're getting there. We're getting there. This took me a couple more minutes. I had to go get Reagan's new cast there. That was a lot of fun.
Very patriotic cast she has.
I know, it was really funny because she was just
I
like...
cried when I saw it.
I stood up and I saluted.
I was going to say I saluted the thing. It was great.
Couldn't help it.
All right, let's see. Jack
You got to paint some stars on that cast.
Yeah, she's only got it for
But
a
if
month.
you don't, the terrorists win.
That's right. Nobody wants that, do they?
All right, let me put this in viewing mode. I still think I'm okay.
If you don't watch sketching comedy, then the terrorists have won. Now,
That's right.
Just
That's
think about
exactly
what
what
you're
they
doing.
want.
Yes.
Social media. I gotta do the Twitters. This is where Hammond was all over me. He's like, I close my social media when I do a show. I'm like, we haven't started yet. I'm like, this is all pre-show stuff. I'm like, this gets all cut out, and
Even the regular show is pre-show.
Yeah.
yeah, there's nothing pro about this. We
The
don't
whole
do
show
anything.
is the pre.
Yeah, it's all good. Jeez, but at least it's working today, folks. So hey, it's a good week.
Phil, she's got sounds and shit, and we're going to be able to hear them.
I
Yes.
know. I'm pretty excited.
So I won't have this big block of silence in the middle of the show where I'm trying to
This is the
guess
part
what
where you pretend like you hear what was.
Well, you gotta do this. Just kind of rock it out. You're like, I think I know what's happening. It's all good. All right, so live now on the YouTubes, on the YouTubing channel at Underdog, at podcasts we listen to, at Pattern. We got a nice shout out on the Twisted 10 this week too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was really nice. Okay. Ready to tweet? Oh, I probably need to tag you guys. That would probably work. At Jack Nerd.
Oh, that tickles.
Jock and Nerd.
Tagging me. I'm ticklish.
No, cast, right? Jock and Nerd cast.
And
That's
I'm
like a nerd.
uncomfortable.
Yes.
I'm always uncomfortable. Phil Rude. And I tag myself because that's how this stupid thing works. And then Blazing Caribou. Hashtag Blazing Caribou. That's important these days. All right, Blazing Caribou and Sketching Comedy. I'm tweeting it out.
Oh, boy. There we go.
There
There it is.
Oh, I heard it. Oh, wait, that felt good. Tweet it out again. I had my phone in my pocket.
All right, I'm going to check real quick one more time with you guys about the sounds just to make sure that the intro sounds okay. Is that about right?
That sounds all right to me.
Yep.
Okay. And then we are in agreement that this is low. Those are low, right?
It's not bad. It's a little bit low. It's not bad.
Okay.
Phil, what'd you think of that volume?
I think it's just slightly low, but I can hear it okay. I don't think it's mixing too bad.
I wonder if I should just do it soft and then have him mix them louder for me, like in the
Right over it. Yeah, at least
Yeah.
it's like a template, and you could just put it
yeah,
right over it.
exactly. I think
We
that
can
might
hear it.
as long as you
Important
can
thing
hear
is-
it.
Yeah.
I think it might just be easier. And then I don't have to like mess around with all this stuff. Oh, and guess what ad we're doing this week? Chicken nerd. So
Oh,
you get
Yeah, I'm
jacket.
glad-
Do you know? I don't know if you understand, but we do it through all the company. So this week you're featured for us.
oh, really?
So every single show, all 8 shows are doing your ad.
Wow, you got that coordinated. That's
I
pretty
do.
awesome. That's pretty awesome. And I'm glad you sent your new Brokebot over because I wanted to play. I'm like, I don't know if I should play the old one because I don't know.
Well, we got to figure out something for sketching. So maybe afterwards, we could do something
Yeah,
real
I
quick.
can. Yeah, we need a sketching comedy promo. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Let's just
if we could do that,
record
I'd really
something.
appreciate it because we're starting to get legs, and legs are nice, so it's all good.
I mean, let's record it today. I mean, if you want me to
Yeah.
do it or you all of us do it, whatever you want.
Yep, whatever we can do. I don't know what we're
I'll-
gonna say, but maybe we could take 5 minutes together, work as a team, and pump out something.
Whoa,
whether
whoa,
it's-
whoa! Work as a team. I don't know.
That was never part of the deal, Karen.
All right, don't forget to snooze your Slack.
What?
Snooze your Slack.
Snooze or lose.
Yep. Where's my recording thing? Recording. All right. And let me just put in announcements. One more thing. One of these days I'll have this all set and we'll be good to go at like, oh, we're not that late. We're doing pretty good. Live.
Wait till you hear my retraction. It's hilarious.
Oh no.
I'm an idiot, and you'll see why. So yeah, so introduce Phil first, and then go to me.
Did you switch
Okay.
it or do I have to switch it?
I switched it in the thing.
Okay.
I got a thing. It won't take long.
Okay. You're like, it won't take long. Trust me.
I just love how heavy-hearted you are about it right now.
He's like,
It's like, oh
ah.
my god, I have a retraction. I'm the
No,
worst.
it's embarrassing. I'm an idiot. I'm gonna fully confess. Just you'll see, and I'm probably making too big a deal out of it, but that's what I do.
Oh.
Well, it's nothing any of the rest of us noticed. So
That's true. Drew Papsky actually pointed it out, and that's why I was like, "Oh shit." Okay,
Oh
we're
shit.
gonna get emails. I will fix
Oh,
this. On the
shit.
Do you have your oh shit button around you?
No, I don't. I don't have it set up.
I don't have an oh shit one.
retraction boner.
Oh my god, that's recorded. I've been recording this whole time. I'm gonna get stuff. It's great. This is
You know,
when we're
you-
funny, and then we
no.
do the show, and it's like, yeah.
Oh, you gotta tell me when you're recording so I can.
Nope,
not say
I'm
things
never
like that
telling
are
you.
Recorded for all time now.
You're
Think you're always
better.
being recorded once you're on.
You're better because, like, if I tell you that you're being recorded, you're like, okay, I'm ready. Let's
I am
go. And
ready.
I'm like,
Robot
calm
Phil."
down. It's okay.
Don't ever tell them when we're recording.
I
Well,
won't.
we've never recorded anything so far. None of these shows. have
Nothing.
been
All of
recorded.
That's
these
what I
shows
thought.
have
Yeah,
been
this
weird.
is all just us talking, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
we're just hanging out. These are just hangout things that we do here.
Totally not recordable.
Speak your mind. Say whatever you will. It all goes into the ether.
Let's
Not.
see. Pow, pow, pow. I think I'm locked everywhere. Good. All right. This ought to be fun. Let me check the Audacity where we're at. God, 17 minutes in. Ish is going to love that. He'd be like, what the heck? The show's only 18 minutes long. What are you guys doing? We had fun this week. Leave me alone. All right. So here is this. I think I'm ready to go. I think I'm good. Let me do this a little bit. And that goes on top, and then that goes here. Okay. All right, kids. Blah blah blah. On today's show. Blah 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 blah. Scoobity doo doo. Blah 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 blah. Okay, I think I'm ready. All right, if you guys will mute yourselves. We're going live. Well, we are live, but hey, everybody, we're live already. Going in 3, 2. On today's show, we discuss Jack Kirby. You may recognize him as one of the most influential. I'm starting over. Hobble, 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 hobble. Scooby doop doop. I did this 14 times earlier today. On today's show, we discuss. You may recognize him as one of the most influential and prolific artists. Okay, I got it.
You should say Jack the King Kirby.
Jack the King?
Yeah.
All right.
Jack the King Kirby.
Let me put it in here.
I just want to hear Carrie say Jack the King.
Also, that is an isolatable clip as well.
And we're going to throw that out there when Game of Thrones comes back on the air.
It serves two purposes.
I should let you do this one when we're done. Oh, no, Trivia Geeks. You're going to have to do a Trivia Geeks one there. Okay, so, all right, here we go. We're going to try this again in 3, 2. On today's show, we discuss Jack the King Kirby. You may recognize him as one of the most influential and oh my God. I'm not going to get through it. I love YouTube for this reason and this reason
Hey, YouTube,
alone.
how's it going?
I know. It's
Our
all
lucky
good.
live viewers get to see all the hot mess
Listen.
for real.
You see the fuck ups. It's very
Look
special.
at the line. It hasn't even started. Okay, prolific. Can we say prolific artist
That
in
is
comics?
a big glass of wine right there, by the way.
Yeah, you're not allowed to start drinking till we're like 10 minutes into the show from now on.
At least until after the intro.
Okay. I'm going to try again. Hold on. I'm going to try not to laugh. Ah, hoo-ha.
Sketching
Okay.
comedy now with alcohol-free intros.
That's not going to happen ever. Okay. In 3, 2, not ready. Toast. Melba toast. Okay. On today's show, we discuss Jack the King Kirby. You may recognize him as one of the most influential and prolific artists in comics. He co-created such enduring characters as Captain America, the Fantastic Four, X-Men, and the Hulk. But did you know he was in a gang in New York? Our own sketch comedians Imran and Phil are back live on the drawing board, so stick around because the show starts now. Welcome back to Sketching Comedy, the show that teaches, laughs, and draws comedy and comics while you listen and watch from the comfort of your own home. I'm your host, Carrie Sims, along with two of the funniest guys I know, Phil and Imran. This is always one of my favorite times all week. I can't wait to do this show. I really look forward to hanging out with you guys. And Phil, I kind of have a beef with you, but it's for another show, and I know you
get in
know what I'm
line.
talking about.
Oh,
I have the beef with you in a different way than you would think, though. That's the great part, because I
is
think
this over a certain movie?
it could be. It could be
Okay.
over
I'm sure
a
it
movie.
is.
I may have
Well,
heard about this.
I'll just kind of hold my tongue for now. Maybe somebody else will come and watch that show, and they'll know what I'm talking about later. But anyway, I'm just checking in. How have you been, buddy?
I've been insanely busy, and I've been looking forward to getting back to a regular schedule and sitting down with you guys again on Wednesdays.
That's awesome. It's great to have you back. Imran, I had a ball on the Jock and Nerd podcast last week, by the way. Oh my
That was
God.
awesome.
Oh,
You
I
guys
had
should
so
check
much
it
fun.
out.
Yes, if
Episode
you haven't
167 of the Jock and Nerd podcast.
Yes, it was a lot of fun. He had a lot of surprises for his co-host over here. So if you're in the mood, give them a listen over at jockandnerd.com. So it sounds like you had a couple of issues from the last episode we did.
I got to issue a retraction real quick to the listener, to comedy fans. Our last episode, we did Bill Burr. Right. We had a great time talking about Bill Burr. And I may have accidentally attributed a line to Bill Burr that's actually from comedian Bobby Kelly, a completely different comedian. And the line is the whole where I'm going, you know what, dude, you get your coffee. So look, first of all, thanks to Drew Papsky for pointing this out when I was telling about the show. He's like, that's Bob Kelly. And I was like, oh, crap. And I know why this happened, because they both were on the Opie and Anthony show a lot.
Sure.
I love that show. I listened for years, and they would all do the you know what, dude line.
Yeah.
And look, I got confused. They're both bald white comedians. Like, can you really blame me? Here's the funniest thing. So look, first of all, we're going to get emails before you write your emails, listener. It's very embarrassing. I'm an idiot. Sorry. I should have known better. Mea culpa, whatever. The hilarious part is I drew that line on my drawing of Bill Burr. So now a very lucky support us on Patreon, listener, because you may win a rare caricature of Bill Burr with a Bob Kelly line written above it, which is like that upside down imprinted stamp. Or it reminds me of the episode of The Simpsons where Bart and goes to buy Radioactive Man #1, and in the case there's a picture of James Bond, and he goes, "What's that?" The comic book guy goes, "That is a rare picture of Sean Connery signed by Roger Moore." It's one of those things now. It's a complete fuck up, and it's gonna be worth a lot of money. So my mistake is your gain, listener. You're welcome.
I think you could be forgiven.
Also, rest in
Imran.
peace, Roger Moore.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Roger Moore, too. He was the James Bond I grew up with back in the 80s when it was okay for a father to take his 8-year-old son to a movie called Octopussy. And, you know, it didn't matter. Nobody cared. It's fine. It was great. Good old days. I missed them.
Well, if you guys are curious and prefer watching the live show and seeing the art created right before your eyes, be sure to tune in to Blazing Caribou on YouTube every Wednesday and chat and interact with us live in the chat room. At the top of the hour, we mentioned Jack the King Kirby. Well, his real name is Jacob Kurtzberg. He was born in August of 28th in 1917. He was an American comic book artist, writer, and editor, widely regarded as one of the medium's major innovators and one of its most prolific and influential creators. So in our news today, an article from IO9, why is DC Comics doing a better job of celebrating Jack Kirby's 100th birthday than Marvel? This year would have marked comics icon Jack Kirby's 100th birthday. To celebrate a man who contributed so much to the world of comics, publishers are out in force to celebrate Kirby's legacy, though some are doing it a little bit better than others. DC Comics recently announced 6 special one-shot comic book sets to release throughout August, the month of Kirby's actual 100th birthday. Each issue will tell a new story about one of Kirby's famous DC creations. Dark Side from Mark Evaner and Scott Collins, The Newsboy Legion. Evanier.
Evanier, yeah.
I missed you on Brokebot this week. I had Hammond, and he corrected me every 30 seconds. It was like, oh, it's like Phil's not even missing. It's great. The Newsboy Legion, Howard Shaken, Sandman, Dan Jurgens, Steve Orlando, John Bogdanov, oh my God, Bogdanov, and Rick Leonardi. Manhunters, Keith Giffen, Dan Didido, oh my God, really? Didio? Okay, you guys are going to have to start reading these. Orion and the New Gods, Shane Davis and Michelle Dalecki, and the Black Racer, Reginald Hudlin and Denz Cowan. Dennis? Is that Dennis with a Y?
Dennis,
really?
I think Dennis.
Is that what they're doing to me? Well, this summer, I mean, I think it's just kind of a joke. I mean, if you read any of these, it's just like they're just spelling their names with like backwards letters and upside down
Like,
crosses.
these are
I don't
all
even know
made
what's
up
happening.
names, aren't they? These are made up names.
These are all made up. The summer DC is releasing 6 different one-shots to celebrate the 100th anniversary, starring fan favorites like Darkseid, The New Gods, and OMAC. You can pick up one different shot every week this August. It's a really cool way to honor Kirby's contributions to DC Comics, and it's not even the only thing DC have been doing this year to celebrate Kirby's life. Since January, there's been an ongoing Kamandi Challenge series where a superstar roster of writers and artists all work together to create a wild adventure for one of Kirby's weirdest heroes. The Young Animal Imprints has launched a trippy series based on another New God creation, Forager. August will also see the release of Tom King and Mitch Gerard's Mr. Miracle series, another revival of Kirby, a Kirby classic. Meanwhile, over at Marvel Comics has been weirdly quiet about anything it plans to do to mark the occasion. Today's Marvel solicits for August reconfirmed the already announced special variant cover series honoring Kirby's birthday, but the only other major thing the publisher is doing is a newly announced series of $1 True Believer reprints of a famous old issue featuring Kirby's imprint. And that's not really anything new. No new series inspired by Kirby's creations, just some variants and some cheap re-releases. So sure, there's plenty of time for Marvel to announce tributes for the rest of the year, but considering how all in DC has gone for Kirby so far in 2017, what little Marvel is doing in comparison seems downright perplexing. Imran, what do you think about all this? I mean, they're just kind of snuffing them, really?
That is really strange, and kudos to DC for putting this stuff out. And arguably, the irony is so we'll get into Kirby worked for both companies.
Oh, yeah.
And back and forth his whole career. He was just bopping back and forth. But arguably, Kirby is responsible for the most iconic Marvel superhero stories and the whole Marvel house style for its first decade or so of publishing.
Right, and turn them around, really, right?
Yeah, they owe everything to him. And we kind of talked about how Stan Lee treated his creators in the Stan Lee episode. But I'm surprised. Hopefully they got something planned bigger, because Kirby, he drew everything. He started with Fantastic Four and Captain America the 40s, coming back Fantastic Four, and then everything, Avengers, Thor, Hulk, you name it. It's all Jack Kirby, man.
Right. It seems a little strange and odd that there's not much going on, and there's nothing. There's just no addition to it. I mean, just like, yeah, here's some Kirby stuff.
I think it seems strange and odd to you, Carrie, because you're a little new to this world.
Am I?
But honestly, this seems like a typical IO9 comic, fuel the nerd rage kind of article.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like ever since the Marvel Cinematic Universe took off, there's just been outrage about how screwed over Jack Kirby got. Probably ever since he died. I think there's been this huge outrage about how screwed over he got, and it's easy to make him the martyr and Marvel the bad guy.
Sure.
And no matter what they do, I kind of feel like they never win with Kirby. Kirby did work for hire. We can get into this later too, I'm sure. Kirby did work for hire, and he got paid for it, what he agreed on, and then everybody called foul when the movie started making $1 trillion. So I kind of feel like this is just one of those things that IO9, what are the other?
It's not them, all of them.
Cool, Bleeding Cool, all these other websites. I feel like they have a bunch of articles really that aren't about much. This could have been a really cool article about, hey, look at this cool stuff DC is doing. But instead they go, look at what Marvel's not doing.
Yeah, they had to spin it. You're right. For why?
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's just
glass
sort of
is
like could have
completely
been a positive article, but it just turns into nerd rage after a while.
I can see that. Well,
I mean, it's a clickbaity title too. This is what the strategy is. You know?
Yeah.
Well, it works,
totally.
Right? Because it's our news, and that's what I did. So
we're talking about it. But I think it is cool that DC is doing those one shots. I think that's a really cool tribute. I didn't even realize it was his 100th birthday this year. That's insane.
Yeah, in August he will be 100. He was born 1917. Yeah,
it's
crazy.
In our show notes, I put a link to the actual YouTube on all of this so that you'll be able to see like the pictures and things like that. So if you guys get a chance to check that out on our show notes. So let's get into a little bit of Jack Kirby, shall we? I want to know who Jack Kirby is. And so apparently back in the early years, he was born on the Lower East Side of Manhattan in New York City, where he was raised by his parents, Rose and Benjamin Kurtzberg. So I was really interested in is like, why, I've noticed all these guys. They all changed their names. Does nobody like their name? Is that the problem?
Well, look, these were kids of Jewish immigrant families in the 30s leading up to, fascism.
I don't see a problem. No, I'm just
and Kirby actually takes up. He says that he didn't change his name for that.
Right.
But a lot of these guys did. But then there was the whole allure of having a pen name, and
I think there was a lot of pen names floating around too.
It was just the thing to do. He himself had a few before he landed on Jack Kirby.
Yeah. Agree. Well, yeah, and we'll get into those. He essentially was kind of self-taught. He liked to draw. Kirby cited among his influences the comic strip artists Milton Caniff, Hal Foster, and Alex Raymond, as well as such editorial cartoonists as C.H. Sykes, Ding Darling, and Roland Kirby. I saw the name Kirby, and I was like, did he steal the name? But it's not just from where he got it. But he was rejected by the Educational Alliance because he drew too fast with charcoal, according to Kirby. He later found an outlet for his skills by drawing cartoons for the newspaper of the Boys Brotherhood Republic, a miniature city on East 3rd Street where street kids ran their own government. At age 14, Kirby enrolled at the Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, leaving after a week. I wasn't the kind of student that Pratt was looking for. They wanted people who would work on something forever. I didn't want to work on a project forever. I intended to get things done. And indeed, he did. And we'll talk about some things later on in this show.
You know what that's awesome about Pratt Institute? Is guess who else went to Pratt Institute for communication arts? Yours truly.
Was that the reason why behind it?
No, I did not know that he went to Pratt for a week when he was 14, but there's a lot of famous alumni from Pratt and a lot of stories. And I just went there because I wanted to go to art school in New York when I was 17. I was like, I don't care. I'm going to New York to art school. Great school.
Yeah, neat. Well, Kirby joined the Lincoln newspaper syndicate in 1936, working there on newspaper comic strips and on a single panel advice cartoons such as Your Health Comes First, under the pseudonym Jack Curtis with 2 S's. He remained until late 1939 when he began working for the movie animation company Fleischer Studios as an in-betweener, who is basically an artist who fills in the action between major movie movement frames on Popeye cartoons. I didn't know that. Popeye.
Dude, those early Fleischer Popeye cartoons are the best too.
Oh, they are. He's always
muttering to himself, and you're like, "What's wrong with him?" And it's hilarious.
Well, speaking of his surname, he first used the surname Kirby as the pseudonymous Lance Kirby in two Lone Rider Western stories in Eastern Color Printing's famous Funnies, number 63 and 64 in October of 1939. He ultimately settled on the pen name Jack Kirby because it reminded him of actor James Cagney. Okay. However, he took offense to those who suggested he changed his name in order to hide his Jewish heritage, which he did not, and you were absolutely 100% correct on that. Kirby moved on to comic book publisher and newspaper syndicator Fox Feature Syndicate, earning a then reasonable $15 a week. I think I make about that now.
We lost Phil, by the way.
Oh, did we? Oh, no. He'll be back. I guarantee you.
But the room's locked.
No, I'll unlock it.
Oh, he'll knock. Okay.
Yeah, he'll knock. We'll wait until I get to the next part.
Okay.
What did I read?
He just dropped out, and I was like, hey, where'd Phil go?
Oh, you know what? And that might happen because he did mention that there were pretty bad storms.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's pretty bad storms, so we'll give him a second to come on back. Let me check, see if there's anybody in the chat room. We can go chat it up. And
yeah, dude.
Hey, I went to Ish, sorry, but you got to cut all this out. It's all good. He'll be back. I'll wait for him. Not a big deal.
I did not know Kirby wanted to go to Pratt. You know who else? Here's the stories about Pratt.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, Kermit the Frog was named after a professor at Pratt. It's one story I heard.
Really?
Yeah. The Nerf football was accidentally invented by industrial design students at Pratt because they were going through the garbage and and then they like carved some of the foam they used to do a football and started throwing it around.
Really?
And then here's the biggest one, and I know this for a fact: the movie Debbie Does Dallas was filmed in the library at Pratt Institute.
Really? So it was like the
stacks.
Pratt Institute.
Oh my God, they were all up in the stacks. That story goes, apparently they were lied to, and the people were like, look, we want to film like a real movie, and they didn't know it was going to be a porno. And then after that, they didn't let anybody film anything there for a while.
Oh no.
You know, reasonably.
Oh, but, I can imagine. Oh,
yeah.
Geez. I'll put this
There's a
over
lot
here.
of weird Pratt stories.
Oh, I wonder where our Phil went. You know, when he knocks out, it changes everything on OBS. So I have to like go back and realize that we're still recording. Yay. You get the whole show on YouTube, though. I don't go through and change any of this stuff. It's just too much.
The storm take him? Was it a twister?
I don't know. It could have been. Let's see. He might text me if it gets too bad, so I'll keep my phone near me just in case.
Wait, is there a Slack thing? There's a Slack thing here.
Yeah. There's definitely a Slack thing we got going. Did he say something in Slack?
No, I know. I didn't know.
Oh. Papa. Nope, nothing in Slack yet.
Phil.
Phil. You know what's cute? It's always something. If it's not me, it's him. And it could be you. You're like, I'm not there.
It could. No, I'm here.
I know. No, but I mean, like, you're like, I got to work or something. There's things.
Yeah. It's always,
I have things to do.
I mean, that's the beauty of trying to run a show independently on the interwebs.
Yeah, that's what happens. I mean, what are you gonna do? We just want to get through one. Thank God we don't have Trivia Geeks tonight. So
I know.
Ooh, I think that's gonna work out a lot better. A lot better.
Just do it every other week, twice a month. That's great. Mm-hmm. That's a good schedule.
It is, and I think because we've got so much stuff coming out anyway, that it works out really good. So I'm cool.
It makes it more special.
It does, and it kind of gives us a little bit more, whatever. Katie can't be there on Friday, so I don't know. Okay. It's okay. I think we should just go ahead and move forward. We'll move forward, and I'll catch her up Monday.
We'll just brainstorm and just write shit down,
Yeah, that's all we got to do is we got to write some, some name. Like we got to figure out how games are going to work, because basically I work out the games, and I just, Katie and I just kind of tell each other, I'm like, all right, this is what you're going to do, and she's like, all right, and she puts them together. So I can fill her in, not a problem if we've got a bunch of stuff. So that's what we need to do is we just need to hammer it out. And I'm so happy that we can collaborate. There he is.
Oh, I heard something.
Yep.
I'm digging my drawing. So I'm I'm glad every week that you force me to draw things.
Right? It's good for you.
Phil, did the twister get you? Are you okay?
Well, he's not going to put his volume on and all those things. You know that. Give him a minute.
Just write out your answer.
Did you miss me?
He's acting like nothing ever happened.
I thought like a tornado came and like picked you up or something.
No, not quite. Just my terrible internet decided to go out.
You're fine. I'll pick up right at the Kirby part. So I'm going to redo this part. So Kirby moved on to comic book publisher and newspaper syndicator Fox Feature Syndicate, earning a then reasonable $15 a week salary, which I think is pretty much what I make as a podcaster. So, hey, don't snuff it. Anyway, he began to explore superhero narrative with a comic strip, The Blue Beetle, published from January to March of 1940, starring a character created by the pseudonymous. Is that a
pseudonym?
word? It says pseudonymous. I can't do this today. Charles Nichols. Let's just go ahead and get with it. All right. After leaving Fox and landing at pulp magazine publishers Martin Goodman's Timely Comics, later to become Marvel, Simon and Kirby created the patriotic superhero Captain America in late 1940. Simon, who became the company's editor with Kirby as art director, said he negotiated with Goodman to give the duo 25% of the profits from the feature. The first issue of Captain America's comics was released in early 1941, sold out in days, and the second issue's print run was set over 1 million copies. The title's success established the team as a notable creative force in the industry after the issue was published. With the success of Captain American character, Simon said he had felt Goodman was not paying the pair promised percentage of profit. So this is kind of where we're getting into, like, them not feeling like they're getting their share. Is this where it all starts? Is about here? Right?
Sure.
So Kirby and Simon negotiated a deal that would pay them a combined $500 a week as opposed to the $75 and $85 they respectively earned at Timely. The pair feared Goodman would not pay them if they found out that they were moving to National, but many people knew of their plan, including Timely editorial assistant Stan Lee. When Goodman eventually discovered it, he told Simon and Kirby to leave after finishing work on Captain American Comics number 10. Right after that, Kirby was drafted in the U.S. Army. Now, what's really interesting is a lot of people during this time that, you know, had kind of like jobs like this, they didn't do what he did. Like they didn't just go like into the army and were like infantry or those types of things. They kind of had like the easy jobs. They did the film, you know, they worked in the recording part of it. But after basic training at Camp Stewart, he was assigned to Company F of the 11th Infantry Regiment, and he landed on Omaha Beach in Normandy on August 23rd, 1944. Yikes. Yeah. Whoa. Well, 2.5 months after D-Day, though, so thank God for that. But yeah, really interesting that he was infantry. So here's what I'm thinking when I was reading this. I'm like, well, I know where he gets a lot of his ideas from. I mean, war is hell. Yeah. And I mean, it's real apparent. You take a lot of this, a lot of what you draw in life from experiences and things like that. So, I mean, war is almost perfect. I mean, I hate saying that, but, you know, he survived it. He's probably saw things that, like, we can only have nightmares about. So, yeah, I can see a lot of these, like, war scenes and stuff like that, especially, like, with Captain America. I mean, it works out really good. So there was a lot of cartoonists in the war who were drawing war cartoons, like, during the war for newsletters, and they would come back, and some of those drawings are amazing because it's a first-hand account from an amazing illustrator. Right. Absolutely. Well, so here's the controversy, and we touched base on this on the Stan Lee episode, but we're going to kind of touch base in a different way. The controversy was Marvel between 1958 and 1970. For almost a decade, Kirby provided Marvel's house style, co-creating with Stan Lee many of the Marvel characters and designing their visual motifs. At Lee's request, he often provided new to Marvel artists breakdown layouts over which they would pencil in order to become acquainted with the Marvel look. Gil Kane was quoted as saying, Jack was the single most influential figure in the turnaround in Marvel's fortunes from the time he rejoined the company. It wasn't merely that Jack conceived most of the characters that are being done, but Jack's point of view and philosophy of drawing became the governing philosophy of the entire publishing company and, beyond the publishing company, of the entire field. Marvel took Jack and used him as a primer. They would get artists and they taught them the ABCs, which amounted to learning Jack Kirby. Jack was like the Holy Scripture, and they simply had to follow him without deviation. That what was told to me, and it was how they taught it to everyone, to reconcile all those opposing attitudes to one single master point of view. So I think we're talking about basically a style at this point and him being used. And I think
I'm going to take exception with where you put the emphasis in that sentence, where you said he used Jack Kirby. I think it was more like they used Jack Kirby in the way you would say, I used this guy to train this guy. Mm-hmm. Like I don't think used as in used and abused. I think that was how they employed Jack. I think it was. I mean,
it's another way of calling him the art director for Marvel.
He was the art director of
like
of
I use you, Imran, for us.
Exactly. Yeah, I got. Then you spit me out.
But I think, it's where a lot of people feel that he is owed more than he actually got, and I don't disagree with those people. Mm-hmm. I think
explain work for hire contracts.
A work for hire contract is if somebody hires me to draw something for them, they're saying, I'm going to pay you to draw this one thing. And when you're done with it, I'll own it, and I can do whatever I want with it. I own the intellectual property. I own the publishing rights, this and that. You're getting your paycheck for doing the work. And that's what work for hire is. And that's the work that Jack did for these companies.
Yep.
So he essentially got everything that he agreed to.
Trevor, he technically didn't own any of it, is the thing.
He didn't own any of it, and he was not owed anything by these companies, technically.
Correct.
So I take exception with people who say that that he got screwed over. He got exactly what he
it's in the contract.
Agreed to. Right. They fulfilled the contract to each other. But I do also think Marvel could have struck a better deal with him. Marvel could have come back to him later and said, you know what, here's a giant severance package, right? Because we couldn't have done this without you.
Sure. Well, and the thing is they couldn't have foreseen what was going to happen.
No, and in their defense, everybody was doing this. This is how it was done. That's like it wasn't just them. Now, here's the thing what we should focus on. Instead of that, what you got to focus on is Kirby's actual contribution to the medium of comic books, because basically what he did is he invented the graphic language used for superhero comic books.
Totally.
The poses, the superhero pose, that's him. The foreshortening, these figures are jumping out at you. They're coming towards you always. They're dynamic. Things are tilted. I mean, for example, like speed lines, like you see in the back of my drawing, speed lines that you associate with comic books. Nobody had seen that before. Like he started a lot of these. There's something called space crackle. Jack Kirby drew space, meaning little black dots is space crackle, and that's how it's done. Yeah, it's energy. His renderings of spaceships and machinery and alien technology, like here's the thing about the Kirby thing. It's so hard to put yourself in that place because when you look at his artwork, this is a time capsule of the times. It was the stuff in the 60s. It was the counterculture. He was vibing off the psychedelic 60s. But it's a lot like the way I can explain it is like Casablanca. Like you watch Casablanca now and you're like, this is nothing but a movie full of cliches. But what you don't get, this movie did it first. These were where the cliches come from.
Right.
And Jack is the same way. The other thing I always wanted to know was like Jimi Hendrix. I wish I was there the first time he made his guitar make those noises. People must have lost their shit. Like you just take like distortion, grunge, you take it for granted. But imagine the very first time he's got a guitar and it's screaming like an alien spaceship. Oh man, those people must have lost their shit. And people lost their shit when they saw the Fantastic Four, when they saw characters like Galactus, a giant alien that eats planets. Nobody had seen this crazy sci-fi shit before, and it was groundbreaking, and it still is.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and you were just referring to some of the things he's done. Other than the Fantastic Four, he has works that include the Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, the original X-Men, basically everything that I've ever known. Dr. Doom, Magneto, which is one of my favorites. Ego, the Living Planet.
Ego,
yeah. The Inhumans and the Black Panther comics. And what I think is cool is because that was the first known black superhero, and he did that, and I think that's amazing. He also drew the first Spider-Man story intended for publication in Amazing Fantasy number 15, which I'm sure you know, Imran. But Stan Lee chose to have Steve Ditko redraw the story.
There's also a story in which there's a character Kirby created called the Fly, which possibly was the inspiration for Spider-Man. So it is possible that Spider-Man is a Kirby, Ditko, Stan Lee collaboration.
And I've also heard Kirby credited with the costume design of Spider-Man.
Yes.
So he did have a hand in it, even though I always generally look at Spider-Man as a Ditko baby. You know, it's he put his stamp on it because he had the original run. But Jack was totally involved.
I think he was involved in the creation.
Well, I guess Lee and Kirby had gathered several of their newly created characters together into a team called, I guess we all know this one, is the Avengers, and we revived characters from the 40s such as the Submariner and Captain America. So my question is, okay, so Kirby invented Captain America with, what's his name, Simon?
Yeah,
Joe
Simon.
Yeah.
Okay, and then he just like died out, and then Stan Lee and him revised him, and that's when Stan Lee got his start. Really, was with Captain America, correct?
So you have to study the ages of comic books. This is where the Golden Age, Silver Age, and the Modern Age come into play. So in the 40s, you had Superman, Batman, Captain America. This is the Golden Age of comics. Now, what happened in between the Golden Age and the next age was a little thing called McCarthyism, Frederick Wortham, a book called Seduction of the Innocent, the Comics Code Authority, kind of killed superhero comics, but at which point everyone had to start doing romance comics, Western comics, crime comic books. And it wasn't until the 60s that Stan took Atlas or Timely, turned it into Marvel, and Kirby came back and launched Fantastic Four, creating this more of a newer universe that's more relatable with flawed characters. So there is a gap in the 50s to the 60s of there's no superhero comic books. And in the story of Captain America, he crashes and gets frozen in ice, and he's frozen until the 60s where they revive him, thaw him out, and he joins the Avengers.
And that's the reason why. That's really interesting.
Yeah,
that's
basically.
Neat.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You
learn something every day.
That was also very much like a World War II character, and I felt like they didn't really feel the need to have him after World War II,
right?
Until they wanted him for the Avengers again. So
that was really cool that they actually did free. I think that was like masterful, really, that they froze him and brought him back, because he's just such an innocent character, and it really works. Really,
it gave the man out of time kind of angle to him. So he was lost in the 60s, just like in the movies he's lost in today.
Right.
And I mean, Chris Evans plays this great, because he will always make the right decision. He's going to do what's right no matter what. He still has all that integrity. And it's a really cheesy character, and they nailed it with the Chris Evans and the way they've done it.
Absolutely. Nope. Stop. That's not supposed to go there. All right, wait. After the haranguing thing, this is supposed to happen. Hold on. There are 5 fun facts, and damn it, they're fun. I bet you didn't know.
They better be.
They are fun. You bet you didn't know about Jack Kirby.
Go put my party hat on.
I almost don't want to show you guys these in show notes until we do them, so that way you can go, oh, I didn't know that. So
I didn't actually read the show notes, so
I know, because you never prepare. It's fine. It works out. So fact number 1: Jack Kirby's estate is currently still seeking to terminate the copyright grants of 45 Marvel characters. Marvel countered with a claim that Kirby's characters were works for hire, like Phil said, and not subject to termination. On July 27th in 2011, the courts decided in Marvel's favor, with the Kirby estate lawyer vowing to appeal. So they are actually still in appeals.
They're trying to get them all back, aren't they?
It's
Kirby's
the family.
grandkids do not want to get jobs. They are going to sue Marvel until
that is the wrong reason to do this.
Yeah,
until Marvel just pays them off. And I think there are some old creators that have gotten some settlements since the Avengers movie. So yeah, I think these lawsuits are going to keep happening.
I kind of agree. I mean, the thing is, it's, you can't foresee the future, and if you're in litigation, or if you're in a legal contract with somebody, and you decide and you feel that you're in the right, and you feel that your rights are protected, and you're giving up this intellectual property and you're okay with it, and 20 years later, oh my God, it's a Van Gogh now, and it's worth, $20 million. You couldn't foresee that, but you weren't wronged at the time. And that's what's really hard about art, I would think. You can just never foresee. You can't put it. I mean, I guess you could put in a clause in a contract. By the way, if this ever makes $1 bajillion, I want 25%. But if it doesn't, we're good.
It's what royalties are for.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they really did sign contracts in a time before royalties, and it's nobody's fault, and you can't foresee it. But it is the contract you signed, and and whether it was a good contract or not. Honestly, when Jack Kirby owned publishing imprints, he had creators sign similar contracts.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't really treat creators any better than he was treated.
Right.
And it's all just it's contract nonsense, and it screws people over long run. But it's just kind of the deal you make.
Right. It's just,
what's funny is a lot of this can be smoothed out with just words, a couple of letters put together, words on a paper. I got to shout out real quick. There's an amazing documentary on Hulu right now. It's called Batman and Bill, and it's about the creation of Batman and the fact that Bob Kane was a little bit of a piece of shit and screwed Bill Finger out.
Yeah,
now
did.
You said 20 years, Carrie. 75 years.
Woo!
It said Batman soul created by Bob Kane.
Wow.
You watch this documentary, Bob Kane didn't do shit. Bill Finger created everything, died penniless and alone. 75 years until Batman versus Superman, they put his name up in the credit. And this movie is great because this guy, Mark Tyler Nobleman, made this book, and all he wants, and I was like, all this is for the words with Bill Finger added to the credit.
Wow.
3 words. That's it. 3 words would have fixed everything. 75 years this goes on.
Wow.
Well, that's really all Ditko wants too. He wants to be credited as a co-creator. He doesn't want money. He doesn't want any of that.
The Spider-Man movies say Spider-Man created by Stan Lee, I believe.
I think they do. Yeah.
Do they? I'll be looking next time.
Yeah.
Well, and that reminds me of like The Founder. The Founder was similar to that, the McDonald's movie about the guy. If you haven't seen that movie, I recommend it highly because I was watching
Michael Keaton.
Yeah,
right?
I was watching it, I'm like, oh, Michael Keaton, he's pretty cool, and like it's really funny. It has like this nice big twist like right in the middle, and then you're like, you're a dick, Michael Keaton. What the hell? I'm like, are you serious? And he just screws the McDonald's brothers, and McDonald's was never McDonald's ever.
Wow.
Ever. And so it's like I haven't eaten there in probably 25 years, right? But I'm like, well, that gives me another 25 year reasons not to eat there. So, but moving on, we have fact number 2. Jack Kirby joked as a child that he wanted to be a crooked politician. He'd get away with it now. I was once smitten with the idea of being a crooked politician. It was in vogue. It was a natural way of things where I come from. The crooked politicians were having a great time. They were enjoying life. I watched them in restaurants as I skated by. I told my mother many times I wanted to be a crooked politician. And of course, she said she'd never hear of that. So obviously, he didn't go into.
Not much has changed, huh?
Yeah, not really. But I mean, he grew up in the times of, gangsters and all that kind of stuff. So, speaking of which, Kirby was in a gang growing up.
No way.
Yes, he was. He was in a gang called the Suffolk Street Gang. It was in Suffolk County in New York. According to Kirby, he would get into lots of fights with other gang kids. Kirby would go on to create a number of kid gang comics, including Boy Commandos, Newsboy Legion, and Young Allies, inspired by his experiences. I grew up on Suffolk Street, he said. I went to PS20. I imagine that became part of what you grow up with, what life hands you, and you react that way. And I'm glad in a way later on in life I had to use that attitude in ways that probably saved his life. And I think he's at this point referring to his time in the military and stuff. So really interesting that he was in a gang, So I'm starting to see this little tough guy. I'm picturing this tough guy who draws. He's got this other personality behind him that kind of really does have his imagination go wild, and he just puts it to paper, and it's pretty amazing. So
I believe that was the inspiration for the Yancey Street gang, who was Ben Grimm's old gang in the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And on the note of him being a tough guy, there is a legend about after World War II, there were these neo-Nazis who came to his studio and called him on the intercom and challenged him to come down so they could kick his ass. Whoa. And Kirby dropped what he was doing and went down there and chased him off. He was a badass old army infantry grunt, you know what I mean? And a New York street kid, and he did not take shit. He was not the indoor kid artist of today.
Yeah.
He was a tough old bastard,
That's awesome.
That's why I think like all this like legality stuff, he'd just be like, forget about it. Hey, I'm good.
My crooked politician friends to take care of this.
Yeah, Tammany Hall and all that. Anyway, okay, Imran, if you had to pick one character that you thought Kirby saw most of himself notably in, who do you think it would be?
Well, we're talking about tough guys. I feel like the Hulk is like maybe his version of giving back to the kids who got bullied that he saw on the street, and this skinny scientist guy suddenly becomes this hulking monster. I mean, that's why he's the best at muscles. Like he loved it. I believe he worked out. He's probably in shape, and you learned anatomy from Jack Kirby early on. It was how to draw comics. The Marvel way was the Jack Kirby way. But
Phil, who do you think?
Yeah.
Who do you think he modeled himself after, or he modeled a character after?
I kind of want to say Reed Richards, like this tortured genius kind of thing, because he was. I do feel like all the tough guy stuff aside, he was sort of an introverted guy. He was always in his own head, and just had so much going on. I kind of feel like maybe he identified with him a little bit.
It's interesting because I think this is a mishmash of those two characters. He actually saw a number of his characters he created to be based on himself, but most notably, every time he drew the Thing of Fantastic Four, it was the same him.
Accent. He's the street guy.
The cigars.
Yeah, the cigars. Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting. The last fact was in the late 50s and early 60s, it got to the point where Kirby was so engrossed. This is really kind of cool. Was so engrossed in creating stories and the artwork that he had to give up driving. He couldn't drive anymore because he would want to draw so much, and he got so involved. Kirby's assistants would tell the stories where he would be in the car just drawing and creating, and they'd have to end up like on the curb or the sidewalk because he was just thinking about the story. So so he was so, God, I mean, I remember times like that before TV, before radio, before all of these things. Like, we had imaginations. Do you remember these times?
Kirby was just possessed. He would do a couple of pages a day, multiple projects, always working. Like you said in the beginning, like he didn't want to work on one thing and just had so much in him. He just had to get on paper.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to take a quick break, but for some reason, we're still going to hear somebody's mouth. So let's be right back.
Oh, boy.
That is the Jack and Nerd podcast with Imran.
Sounds like
our favorite buddy. It's a great show. You have to check it out, definitely. All right.
I don't know why people listen. Anyways.
Well, throughout the whole show, Imran and Phil have been doodling and drawing some fun sketches that you can see the whole finished product at if you have a chance to win it. Also, at the end of the month, there's a drawing through our Patreon, or if you've been following along on YouTube, you can see them right now. Imran, explain to the listener what you've been drawing for the last half hour, 45 minutes here.
I drew Kirby's one of his DC characters, one of his big contributions, a big bad guy that we're maybe going to get hinted at in the Justice League movie, and it's Darkseid. Because remember, this is the whole New Gods thing.
Yeah.
This is the guy, like in Justice League, it's the bad guy Steppenwolf, who kind of works for Darkseid. But he's, Marvel has Thanos, but Darkseid came first. A lot of times DC created these characters first, and then Marvel just kind of copied them, made them a little bit better. But I've never drawn Darkseid, and this was a lot of fun to do. So it's in a Kirby style. It's got heavy blacks. You got the space crackle. You got the speed. You got the speed lines, and the black shapes. So
it is really good. Oh, nice, awesome. And Phil, what have you been doing over there?
I have one of my favorites is Devil Dinosaur.
Yeah, Devil Dinosaur.
This is a Kirby. He wrote and drew this. This was all him in the 70s, and it's just a super weird, like a monster movie in comic form. Like, it's got this little cave boy, Moon Boy, and his pet devil dinosaur, who is this giant red T-Rex. And it's just, there's UFOs in it. There's giant ants. There's other weird dinosaur hybrids. It's super bizarre. And I know recently they brought Devil Dinosaur back.
Yes, it's called Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. Yeah, it's a little black girl and this red dinosaur. It's the weirdest book, but it's really good.
It's a strange book, but it's really good. You can get you can get the whole thing in a trade paperback, the whole Kirby thing. It's only 9 issues.
Nice.
And it's just a really bizarre, really fun. It's everything that was great about like Bronze Age and Silver Age comics, and everything that's great about it's all Kirby. It's his voice. It's everything. It's really just a bizarre, good time if you're looking for something fun to read.
Neat. That's really cool. Wow, guys, you guys really drew some really cool things this week. I love them. So if you don't know, Imran usually draws digitally, and you can get a digital copy of that if you subscribe to our Patreon. Along with Phil, he does analog, and you can get the actual piece of paper that he put his ink and pencil to, so it's pretty cool. So do you guys have anything else you want to add about Jack Kirby? How about you, Phil? Anything else you want to say?
I have one fun fact about Jack Kirby. The movie Argo is based on a true story, and the storyboards for the fake movie were drawn in real life by Jack Kirby.
Really?
Isn't he in the movie as a character?
He is in a character. He's never mentioned by name, but it is credited as Jack Kirby. But yeah, he drew the Star Wars knockoff storyboards because he was doing a lot of storyboarding at the time.
I wonder, did he know what it was for
I don't know. I don't know if it was just a job he took or if he was in on the con. Either way, I just think it's a great piece of trivia that they weren't really making a movie, but they were still like, we got to get the best guy to do these stories.
Yeah, they're like, for a fake movie.
For a movie they knew they were not going to make. And
they could have got one of their children to do that fucking storyboard.
Totally.
Nobody would have cared. I would love to see those original storyboards. That's really cool.
I wonder where they are. They're probably locked down in Langley, Virginia, in the CIA vault somewhere.
Well, and there was a whole thing where Jack recently got thousands of copies of his original artwork back to the Kirby estate because they would hold on. He just always wanted to get the art back.
Huh. Interesting. Imran, you got anything else to add, or?
No, that's it. I mean, that's why he's the king, man. This is the guy who brought it to life, who gave us this graphic language that we use today in terms of poses and lines used to tell stories. Like, you can't overstate his contribution enough.
Awesome. Thank you for listening and watching Sketching Comedy. You can subscribe to us on our YouTube channel at Blazing Caribou and listen to us every Wednesday at 8, 7 Central. Thanks to our producer, Ish Balderas Wong. You're always right and never wrong about this show, Wong. Okay, that's really corny, but hey, you put up with me and I appreciate it. Thanks for putting together this podcast. We really appreciate you. And thanks to you, the listener, because without you, we're just wandering in the dark looking for a place to rest our pencils. So thank you. You're our comic heroes. We look forward to you tuning in next week for more animations, illustrators, and stories about the animators you love. And with that, our show comes to a draw. I've been your host, Carrie Sims, along with Imran Javed and Phil Rude. We'll sketch you next week on Sketching Comedy.
Catch you later.
Schedule later. And we're out sketching comedy. Boom.
His voice is so old. That's an old school tough guy right there.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I played that because they said that he had a really unique way of talking, and it was almost kind of like real choppy, and it wasn't very eloquent. And there is a whole series on Jack Kirby. There's a like 1 through 4 interviews with him on YouTube that you can check out.
Oh wow.
And it will be going on our Patreon, so anybody still continuing to watch this, it'll be on Patreon. You can check it out there. So it is all good. So we're going to end the show. We did end the show on the podcast part, but we're going to end the show. Thank you for following along with us in the chat room and hanging out with us tonight. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, guys.